everybody. I am so excited because it's Rezlife Live time. But before we get started, I want to share with you a couple things. If you'll go into the chat, make sure you put !enter for your chance to win prizes. Also, go ahead, like, subscribe, whatever that is for you to make sure you get notified of all of the really cool things that we're doing. Also, I want to mention it's an all church-wide fall festival that's coming up. And so check the website cor.org/students to figure out what's going on, because I'm excited to gather and celebrate fall. So hang on tight, get ready, get comfortable, and get excited for Rezlife Live.
For you, but Kinsey, we hope you make it to the toilet in time and that you will be feeling better and with us again next week. If you're watching at home, our thoughts and prayers are with you. But we have a great show in store for you tonight. We have a couple of games for you. One of them is called MaskGab, not to be confused with MadGab, so can't wait to play that with you a little bit later on. We also have something called MadLib Live, so we can't wait to also introduce that one as well. We also have a very special guest that will be joining us a little bit later, Sylvia Harrell of the foundation Keep the Spark Alive. She'll be joining me at the interview couch in a little bit. But before we get to all that, I'd like to turn it over to my lovely co-host, Leah, for some shout-outs. So, Leah, let's get it started. You got the magic ticket.
Hot off the press, I got some shout-outs.
And I'd like to say, hey, girl power tonight.
Girl power.
Girl
This is
power.
fantastic. I cannot be more happy to be hanging out with my buddy Shannon over here. This is awesome.
Very excited.
And I'm excited to be doing this with you all Rezlife students. We've got some shout outs tonight. We've got the PAX Live is with us. We've got Molly, Victoria, Finn, Evelyn, Camp. My kids, Jonah and Briley, are tuning in. I know it's a big night. We need to give a shout out to Brittany and Patrick Mahomes, his new baby.
Baby Mahomes.
Baby Mahomes is on the way. And our biggest shout out of the night, Shannon, we need to give a big happy birthday to our very own Taylor, everyone. If you're at home, happy birthday, Taylor. She's awesome.
She'll be joining us a bit later in the game for a bit later in the show for some games and some MaskGab.
Speaking of games, I have some directions for y'all to put into the comment section. First of all, make sure you're doing !enter. And then we need you to add some words for our MadLib Live request. Here's the criteria, all right? We need a job. Put down a job in there. We need an animal. Be creative. Any animal will do. A mood. I bet we're all feeling some moods. A place. Think of some fun places, put them in the comments. Verb, action, make it as
Active, super active.
Yeah. An adjective. I don't remember what
That's a describing word. A describing
that is
word, Leah.
right. It's a describing word. So adjective, and a saying that you would say if you stubbed your toe, like
oh my goodness.
Yes.
I stubbed my toe.
Something that we could say live on Rezlife Live.
Keep it clean, friends.
Keep it clean, friends.
Keep it
yes,
clean. Keep it
absolutely.
clean.
So write them down in the comments. We'll be bringing that up later.
Yeah, stay tuned because you're going to want to see how those get used later on. But before we get to all that, we're gonna bring it down a little bit. Today is the last day of September, but all month long, September is Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. And so here in Rezlife Live, we know that it's kind of been a little bit of a harder time. We've got online school going on. Even here in our own congregation, we've lost a couple of people to suicide, even just this last month. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and we're taking care of one another too. So for our top 5 today, we have an extra special top 5. It is going to be our top 5 self-care tips. So let's roll that bumper. All right, so our number 1, or our first tip for self-care is, this is something I like to do at home, it's cook something new. So we might talk about comfort food. Comfort food is like that food you like to eat when you're just not feeling great, you're just kind of feeling down.
Maybe,
It's kind of getting colder. I like to cook a good soup when it's getting colder weather. So find a new recipe, try something new, cook something new. That might be some way that you can take care of yourself and your family too. Surprise them with a brand new recipe. So take care of yourself, take care of your family and friends by cooking something new, maybe this week.
Yeah.
Number 2 is talk to a trusted friend or maybe even a therapist. I see a therapist regularly, and I know that that is something that a lot of people see a therapist or take advantage of counseling services.
100%.
But even if that's not for you, you can talk to a pastor, talk to a friend, a parent, a teacher. Reach out if you're feeling like there may be something on your heart or your mind that you want to just talk to someone about. There are lots of people in your lives that care about you and would love to sit down and listen. So reach out, talk to someone. Number 3 self-care tip is take a walk. Get some fresh air. We have had just such a beautiful summer, and now we're moving into fall.
Weather.
Jacket weather.
I'm so excited.
I have a little dog named Oscar. He's a Corgi Chihuahua mix, but we try to take him for a walk almost every day. He doesn't make it very far.
Oh, how far?
Max is at about 25, 30 minutes into the walk. He's got little short legs.
That's pretty good.
But it's really good to just, get your body moving, get that blood pumping.
Yeah.
Helps your mind, helps your body to take a walk, get some fresh air. Number 4, journal regularly. So this doesn't have to be a big, long journal entry. It can even just be taking time to write 3 or 4 things that you're grateful for, something that you just want to think about, like, there's a lot of things going on in my life, but surely there's 3 things that you can be thankful for.
Yeah.
Or say, hey, I had a hard day today, and I kind of need to process it. I'm a verbal processor, but maybe you don't have anyone to talk to, but you can always write it down, type it up.
Yes, it feels good. Write one thing that you like about yourself. That's also really
that's
good.
a good one.
You can put it in your phone.
Is
your
like
laptop?
Zanga still a thing?
Zanga!
That's an online journal that was
No,
popular
it isn't.
back in the
I hope
early
it's not.
2000s. And finally, our last self-care tip is remember to pray. And if you need to ask a leader to pray with you, we are available. You can go to our website. There is a place to submit prayer requests, and we are more than happy to lift you up in prayer as well. So pray yourselves, pray with a family member, but also we are more than happy to be lifting you up in prayer too.
Yeah, reach out to your directors. We're here.
That's what we're here for. That we would love more than nothing than to pray with me, more than anything than to be in prayer with you. All right, well, we are going to move into our first game of the evening. And do we have some players for this game?
We do have some players. We need Taylor, Nick, Sarah, and myself.
And who will they be playing for in the chat?
Oh, yes. Oh, we need that bit of information. Okay, we have Taylor, who's going to be playing for Jaden. Jaden. We have Nick, who's going to be playing for Camp. Give it up for Camp. And we have Sarah, who's going to be playing for Lauren. Yeah. And myself, I will be playing for Victoria.
Let's roll that bumper.
What?
All right, so the name of this game is MaskGab, and each of these players has some clues, and they have 20 seconds to read off a clue. And here's the trick. You guys back home watching will know what they are trying to say, but what they have on their paper looks like gibberish. So what they are trying to say may be see you later, but what's actually on the paper is see you'll hate her. You see that there? And there's an added challenge because they'll all be wearing masks because it's MaskGab. So our first round is going to be Sarah, and she's going to be reading off clues to Leah. So there's 20 seconds on the timer. You guys ready?
Yes.
Ready.
Sarah,
Born ready.
you have 3 clues. Let's see if you can get through them in 20 seconds. On your mark, get set, go.
Please move to your ears off. Please move to your ears off.
Please move yourself. Please move to yourself.
Please move to your ears off. Louder, Sarah. Police move to.
Police moody. Oh,
Please
please.
move to yourself.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Your time is up. The clue that Sarah was trying to give Leah was please mute yourself. We've all heard that one a lot in this Zoom era.
I should know that when I hear it all the time.
All right, our next contestants
All right.
will be Taylor and Nick. So Nick, grab your clue sheet there. You're going to be reading to Taylor. All right, you got your first clue there?
Ready?
Yep.
All right, we're going to move on and let's give it a shot.
Don't touch my stuff.
Don't touch my stuff.
Don't touch my stuff. Okay, go down to the next one.
I'll go. I'll keep going.
Keep going. 1
Gnome
point.
or missed her nice tie.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
No more Mr. Nice Guy. Good, you got 1 more.
Why are you annoying me? Why are you annoying me?
Why are you annoying me?
That's amazing.
You're welcome, Jaden.
All right, let's see if Leah and Sarah can redeem themselves. So Leah, you will be reading
Whatever.
to Sarah now. So pick up your card there. We're going to move on to the next one.
Okay,
A timer on the clock.
got this.
And go.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. That's it.
Hit happened one height. Hit happened one height. It happened one night.
It happened one night.
It happened one night. Good
Please
job.
close Theodore.
Please close the door.
Please close the door. Good job. All right, so if Nick can guess all 3 correctly, then their team will have won and their players will get the prize. So no pressure, Nick and Taylor, but
We can do this.
let's get
We can
this.
do this. Jesus.
All right, 20 seconds on the clock, and go.
Chest, mice, eyes.
Just my eyes. Check
Say it
my
again,
eyes.
Taylor.
Chest, my eyes.
Just my eyes. Just my eyes. Just
Just my eyes.
just my eyes.
Just my.
Just my
Size.
size. Just
Just my size, that's
just my
it.
size.
Okay,
Honey.
that's time's up, but I think that you have won because Leah never got please mute herself. So your team has won. What? Congratulations! The first ever winners of MaskGab are Jaden and who are you playing for?
I was playing for Camp.
Camp! Jaden and Camp, email us at rezlifeleewood@core.org and we're gonna get you some fanny packs and some very own masks that you can wear proudly on your own. All right, Thank you for playing, and we'll see you again for MaskGab next time. We're going to move on back to our interview table, and we are so excited to have with us Sylvia Harrell as she makes her way up to the desk. And I'm so excited to introduce, come on over and have a seat right here. Thank you. It's different when there's no live audience. Yeah, you just go ahead and grab. Hi, Sylvia. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
It's good. It's so good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you're wearing the t-shirt, Keep the Spark Alive, Team Chad, Keep the Spark. We've got your logo right there. Tell us, what is Keep the Spark Alive?
Keep the Spark Alive is a foundation that was created in actually the fall of 2017 after we lost our son, Chad Harrell, to suicide. He took his life on June 12th, 2017, actually right before he was he was going to volunteer here at Church of Resurrection for Vacation Bible Camp, and he had a plan to go to a mission trip. He was an active participant in this church, and after he passed, people were so moved to do something to help the suicide epidemic go away that they contributed to a foundation that was originally supposed to be for scholarships for his fellow lacrosse players, and it grew into a foundation that's working towards the awareness and prevention of teen suicide.
And you use this word, epidemic, and I really do feel like we see these statistics about teen suicide, but it doesn't really sink in until it hits someone that we know. And that was, for you, that was your son.
It is a shock, no matter what. It is a shock when this affects your family, your community, your school, your team, your community, because Chad was the kind of kid who he knew a lot of people and people liked him. He was genuinely a clown. He was outgoing, he was funny, he was kind, he was inclusive, so he had a lot of friends. He had a lot of people who loved him, so the shock really went long and far, like it does with a lot of our kids.
You talked about how he was so involved in Rezlife, and he was funny. Tell us more about Chad. Like, what did he mean for you and your family? What was his personality like?
He was to say he was the light of the party.
Yeah.
He had the best sense of humor. He always found something funny in everything he did. You knew he was in a room, and you enjoyed having him there. He wasn't the person who was in the room and you thought, oh, I wish he'd go away. Everybody wanted him to be in the room because he was that kind of person. His smile was what people remembered about him. And when I walked into parent-teacher conferences, I'd introduce myself and I say, I'm Chad Harrell's mom, and they'd laugh. And then I was like, oh, and the laugh was good, that he made their time in class more enjoyable. He was part of Rezlife, an active member, and he spent a lot of time with Taylor. And she would tell you, when we had our discussions, that he kept her on her toes, but he was the kind of kid that she liked to have around. Yes. So, and he participated, he did it all. He did youth group regularly, he did mission trips, he did Metamorphosis. You can ask Taylor for his video of Pangea rap, and she's gonna be, she's gonna wonder why I even mentioned it, because now she's gonna be singing Pangea rap, which is what happens when they hear that. He went mission trips, Dallas, Denver, Chicago. I think those were the ones he did. So he was active here. He had a heart for God. In helping people.
One of the things that you and I were talking about before we started filming was how teens like Chad can seem on the outside like they're so full of life and so, happy, and they have it all together. And that's one of the things that social media often we can portray on the outside,
Because that's
things
what.
are going well.
Yep.
But then, were there any signs from Chad that maybe something else was happening on the inside?
Well, first of all, for kids, it's hard to be a kid. It is. It's not like when I was a kid. The whole concept of a parent having to walk 7 miles to school and they're barefoot in the snow. That's easy rather than taking on social media and taking on a world where everything looks wonderful. Everything's rosy. Everything can be doctored to make you look like you have a perfect life, even though that's not the way you're feeling inside. And the kids have to try to live up to that. Not to mention that when I was a kid and I missed a party, I'd never know. And now not only do you know, but you get to see everything that they did when they weren't at that party. And it's a lot for the kids to have to absorb. It is. And because of that, the kids don't feel like it's okay to be sad because everything's portrayed as happy. So instead of being sad as part of life, we have emotions, we're happy, we're sad, we have peaks, we have valleys. It's okay to be sad. They think they should always be happy, and if they're not happy, then something must be wrong. So with that, you're putting an image out, but unfortunately, Chad's image was who he was. Looking back, he would be a little angry at his mom, but what teenage boy doesn't do that? So then was that really something he was struggling with, or was he just acting that way because that's what teenage boys do with their moms? His dad didn't see anything there. In hindsight, he did cut. He had an issue the year before where he had been cutting, and he talked to a counselor and he'd worked through it. But for the kids, as a mom, I was told, the kids, it's a common occurrence. Now, 3 years later, after losing Chad, if you guys know of your friends that are cutting, or if you're cutting, then that's telling you or telling your friends or telling the world that you're just, you're having to work through processing everything that's going on in your life, and you're not finding other ways to process what's going on with your life, so you're using the cutting to do that. So that should be a little trigger, as in, if I'm thinking this way and I'm not processing it unless I'm cutting, then maybe I should reach out to a trusted adult, or maybe I should confide in someone that I have this going on and talk through it.
Well, and that's why we wanted to have you here, and that's why we're kind of making this the focus of our show tonight. Is we would rather talk about suicide prevention, suicide awareness, mental health awareness in this kind of format than make any kid feel like they should resort to other means instead of talking to a trusted friend, talking to a pastor, talking to a Rezlife staff member. We want to try to end that stigma. Are there any other things that we should be doing or talking about as youth workers, as students, as parents, to help end those kind of stigmas where students might feel like they have to resort to these other means?
What you're doing now is paramount, because you need to make it common. It needs to be common nomenclature for someone to say, my head, it's just not right. I don't know what it is, it's just not right, and I am sad, and I don't even know why I'm sad. Chad would never have wanted to impose on others, and he wouldn't have wanted to look silly. But now what's happening, instead of the kids looking or feeling silly, one of his lacrosse buddies graduated from Blue Valley North, went to college, and I saw him the fall after he graduated, and he said to me, Mrs. Harrell, I just want you to know, he said, before, when things were bothering me, he said, I wouldn't say anything when I was struggling. I wouldn't, he said, but now I know. And I tell her, and he pointed to his girlfriend, he said, because we learned that from Chad, that you have to tell someone, you have to give someone the chance to help, and maybe getting it off your chest will be enough. Maybe that person struggles too, and you're like, oh, I'm not the only one. Or maybe you process through it and you think, oh, maybe I should get to trusted adult because it could be bigger than I am.
So my last question for you tonight, and we have teens watching live now, but there'll be other students that watch throughout the week. What would you want to tell them if there are any students that are feeling like they may be in Chad's position, they may be feeling like they are without hope? What would you want to tell them tonight?
The number one thing is this world will not be a better place without you. The world is not a better place without you, and people just don't get over it. They don't move on. They don't. You can ask Taylor. I've cried almost every day for 3 years. The world is not a better place because you're not here. You're not a burden. You are not. You're a human and you have emotions, and you're allowed to feel sad. You're allowed to maybe not get things right, but it's a moment in time. It's a snippet. It's a moment of darkness, and what we have to do, and what we're asking you to let us help you understand, is how to get through those moments of darkness, the things you were talking about. If you're finding yourself contemplating suicide, it's different. Everybody, well, I don't want to be here. But when you go to starting to make a plan, starting to harm yourself, then as in your head should be kind of a switch that says, I'm starting to think about developing a plan. How can I, that's a time I should reach out to a trusted adult, and how can I change it? So in those few minutes, because the kids are so impulsive, statistically, they make a decision to take their life in less than 20 minutes. So if you are feeling that way as a kid, then do the things like you talked about. Change your environment. There's lots of things on the ktsa.org website under resources. There's a video from a therapist who talks about if you're having suicide ideation, how to snap yourself out of it. Talk to a trusted person. The journaling. Put your hands in ice, because all of a sudden it shocks your system out of that state that you're in. So what I'd like to tell them is give someone a chance, and you write your own story instead of leaving someone else to tell your story, because you might not want your mom telling your story. You might want to live your own story. And all of us, you all, the parents, teachers, administrators, coaches, we all want that to happen.
Thank you so much for being with us here tonight. And friends, if you are feeling in that place, we want to make sure that you have access to a couple of numbers that we are going to put up on the screen right now. We've also got them in our description here in this YouTube video. Both the link to Keep the Spark Alive also has these resources as well. That is in the description too. But if you ever in that place where you are making a plan or having these suicidal ideation or thoughts, please call the National Suicide Hotline. There's also a text line as well. Sylvia was just mentioning, even before we talked, that these lines are manned by trained therapists, counselors. These are real people that we know and want to help reach you. I'm going to close this in prayer. Thank you so much for being here. Lord Jesus, you know us, you created us, and you love us, and you want us here. Thank you for giving us a new day every single day that is full of hope. Help us to know that the worst thing is never the last thing, and that no matter how we're feeling today, there is always a new day. We love you, and amen. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Leah, we're going to turn it over to you for our last segment called MadLib Live.
Oh, yes. Thank you, thank you. That was really, really wonderful. I know everyone at home received something wonderful from that segment. We cannot be more thankful. Moving on, we have now comprised the words, the descriptions, all the awesomeness and creativity that you have given us in the comment section. And we have come up with our very own Rezlife Live MadLib Live game. Are you ready out there? Woo! Everyone at home? All right, here we go. One day, Sarah was walking down the street on the way to her job as a Walmart greeter. Everything was going slimy, and she was feeling joyful. She exclaimed,
Your farts smell like daisies.
I love that one. After she arrived to her Walmart greeter job, she ran into Nick, who welcomed her with his customary greeting of...
I always cry during Toy Story 3.
Oh man, don't we all cry? Together they crawled. Yep, we're crawling as they worked until a wild pug ran into the building. They both shouted at the top of their lungs,
There's a snake in my boot!
That's fantastic. Disturbed by all the commotion, their boss, Taylor, ran into the room. She ran into that room and she shouted at them. She shouted,
You have a fly on your face.
Okay, Nick tried to explain the situation about the wild pug by saying, but Taylor...
Who knew the Grand Canyon was so big?
Yeah, that makes sense. But by then, the wild pug had disappeared from sight. Oh, thank goodness. Taylor shook her head, sighed, and said,
Garden gnomes are scary and funny.
This is great. Okay, later that night, much later that night, the three co-workers, Sarah, Nick, and Taylor, met up at their favorite place, Chuck E. Cheese. Yes. Eating that cheesy pizza. Exhausted by the day, Sarah said,
If I hear Roblox mentioned one more time, I might scream!
Roblox, yes. Nick patted her on the shoulder and offered her this word of wisdom. My grandmother always said this.
I miss eating lunch in the school cafeteria.
Oh yeah, that's a good phrase. My grandma used to say that too. I miss eating lunch in the school cafeteria. That's an oldie but a goodie. Taylor responded, that reminds me of my favorite song.
There's not enough coffee in the world.
Ain't that the truth? Laughing loudly. The three friends high-fived each other, COVID style, and exclaimed their group motto, which was...
Honeybees can recognize human faces.
Oh, thank you, Sarah, Taylor, and Nick for that riveting round of MadLib Live. And thank you out there for giving us all those wonderful words and treats and phrases and stuff like that.
That was something.
That was something.
That was something. One last thing we want to mention. Over the spring, when we are normally meeting in person, we always take up an offering during our Rezlife gatherings. And we had some left over from our spring offerings, and we will be making a contribution to keep the spark alive from Rezlife. So from all of you guys who are watching, we are going to be making a contribution in Rezlife's name to the Harrell's Foundation. So thank you for your past offerings, and you can continue to give to keep the spark alive. Be sure, we're going to put those, I would like to put those numbers back on the screen one more time. If there's ever a time you want to reach out, if there's ever a time you want to talk to someone, please reach out. There's a text line, there's a hotline. We want to make sure you get the help that you need. All right, we've got just one announcement today, and that is Sunday gathering. We do this on Sundays too. If you want to go deeper in your faith, we are actually starting a new series called Better Together, and it is here on our YouTube page on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m. So be sure to like and subscribe this video and this YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all the offerings we have to give. But right now, this is the first time.
I have to do one more announcement.
Oh, let's
we
do
have
one
our
more
winners.
announcement.
I got to give our shout outs
Oh,
to
who
our winners.
are our MaskGab winners?
Our winners are Jaden and Camp.
Jaden and Camp. So
Round of
email
applause.
us. Email us to get your prizes, and we'll make sure to get those to you. Email reslifeleewood@core.org. All right, friends, let's mask up and get ready to dance it out.
Woo-woo!